Soccer fans are still cheering the U.S. team's opening round World Cup victory last night, while South Korea plays its first game tonight. But right now, the two countries face each other as NBR stages its own World Cup of sorts, the ultimate stock cup, comparing corporate rivals that go head-to-head against each other on the global stage. Now, last week, it was Coke versus Pepsi. Tonight, it's Apple versus Samsung.
Say the name Apple, and there's something magical about it for gadget lovers all around the world. No wonder it was recently ranked as the world's most valuable brand, jumping ahead of Coca-Cola. Since its founding on April Fool's Day in 1976, Apple has become the world's largest publicly traded company by market cap. Headquartered in Cupertino, California, Apple had sales of more than $170 billion last year. Over the years, Apple's core has morphed from personal computing to mobile, but its mission has stayed the same: innovation. Its iPods, iPhones, and iPads are not only easy to use, but stunning and sleek to look at. Thousands of miles away from Silicon Valley, Samsung has challenged Apple in phone technology and design. Over the past 2 years, it's captured the title as the world leader in mobile phone sales, thanks to its popular Galaxy big-screen phones. Samsung is older and bigger than Apple. Founded in 1938 and headquartered in Seoul, South Korea, it rang up sales of $327 billion last year. It's now building the world's largest cell phone factory in Vietnam. It's expanding into drug making and biotech. And why not? As South Korea's biggest conglomerate, it's already a major player in everything from shipbuilding and construction to finance and aerospace.
So who has the stronger game plan in this big match, Apple or Samsung? Let's find out from David Garrity. David, welcome. Who's your choice here? Apple the winner or Samsung?
Our choice, hands down, is Apple. We're looking in the September 2014 timeframe with the introduction of the iPhone 6, which is going to be a larger screen phone, a product category that Samsung up until now has dominated. And the expectation is if Apple's coming out with a larger phone, maybe 4.7 to 5 inches in terms of diagonal length, that you could see a fairly substantial upgrade coming out of not just Apple's current customers, but also bringing in names from other brands, such as Samsung.
So, David, I'm guessing that if somebody has some new money that they want to invest in one of these stocks, you'd say put it in Apple over Samsung. Tell us why and how much growth you can expect in your investment over the next year.
Well, I think bottom line, we're looking at probably about an 18 to 20% upside in Apple shares from current levels, which would say a price level of about $107 a share, including your dividend income. But we would say what's more important is that we're looking at the earnings acceleration coming from these new product introductions. We also note that ahead of that, we're looking at a situation where for Samsung, even though we do look for upside of probably about 13% over the next 12 months for Samsung, we do note that the company has been missing their expectations in terms of tablet PC sales, and they've also ramped down their smartphone production to clear out excess inventory in dealer channels.
So does this mean that the fact that you like Apple more, does this mean that you dislike Samsung? Do you think Samsung's a loser or just not as big a gainer?
We think that, both companies are growing because arguably they're, one or two, depending upon how you look at it in terms of the smartphone and tablet PC categories. But we would say that, if you look at the two companies, if you're looking at Samsung, you're looking at a company that has exposure to far more commodity-oriented markets, whether it's semiconductors or whether it's televisions. Obviously, you indicated earlier in the spot what kind of exposure that they're diversifying into. In the case of Apple, you're looking at a company which is a premium brand and very much focused upon consumer electronics. And so from that standpoint, for the investor, less risk of exposure to commodity markets.
So, David, in technology, and especially with these two particular companies, there's always the question of who's the more innovative one, who's the one that's going to, come out with that jazzy next product. When you look at the leadership of these two companies, we know Tim Cook at Apple, the CEO of Samsung, less well known, but who's got the better vision?
We think that Cook, certainly is talking about the pipeline of new products that they've got coming, and arguably we're going to be looking forward to seeing what those are. Samsung on its own has been a very prodigious creator of intellectual property, but not necessarily as well known for bringing in brand new product categories. Samsung perhaps known more as a fast follower in terms of technology innovation.
You sound very confident that there's going to be a larger screen phone coming from Apple. They have resisted that for a long time. They could have done it sooner, I suppose. What makes you so confident quickly?
One, I think that Apple certainly is responsive to understanding what consumer preferences are. So I think that, it's time to see from Apple a larger format factor phone. And from that standpoint, checks into the supply chain in the Far East, where they're actually building these products now, bear this out in terms of looking at a larger size screen. We think that there are also some other important capabilities like near-field communications, NFC, which we think will position Apple well in terms of being an innovator for payment services or as payment solutions being driven by mobile wallets on this new iPhone.
David, thank you very much. Match to Apple tonight. David Garrity with GVA Research. We just heard which stock our guest prefers right now. We want to know what you think. Apple or Samsung? Which is the better buy? Vote in our Ultimate Stock Cup on our website, NBR.com.
Meanwhile, now for the results from last week's NBR's Ultimate Stock Cup poll. That's a tough one to say. When we asked you to choose between Coke and Pepsi. And the winner by a wide margin in the global soda wars is Pepsi. And which is really kind of interesting because our guest that night said
Picked Pepsi as well. Picked Pepsi has more businesses, possible split up there, liked it a little bit better globally.